This is Homeowner Talk Radio with your host, Mark Ebinger. Now, here's Mark.
All right, Imad Gurgis.
You got it, Mark.
I got that pretty quick.
You got it pretty quick.
All right, first up on the show is Imad Gurgis, a bookkeeping expert and the owner of SimpliBookkeeping. Imad, I'm excited to have you on the show so we can learn a lot about bookkeeping and keeping track of our transactions and all that kind of stuff. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
All right, but first, why did you choose to get into bookkeeping, right? Is it a good fit or no?
You know, Mark, that's a fantastic question. And it wasn't so much that I picked bookkeeping. It's more that bookkeeping picked me.
Oh, really?
I knew what I liked to do. That was interacting with clients. I loved business and I loved numbers. And the perfect gig that fit that was bookkeeping. And from the second that I started and really was able to impact business owners in their business, especially with their finances, I really began to start enjoying it. And that's when it really became fun and I started to expand on knowledge and how can I help reach as many business owners as possible.
So what's the fun part for you?
You know, that's that weird trait. I love numbers, but I love seeing the analytics and trends between other businesses and seeing what works and what doesn't work, and then being able to take that information and knowledge and actually applying it to those other business owners. So that's where the real fun part comes in, is actually learning and then applying it and then seeing the effects of what happens and actually making a change for others as well.
I like that. So a lot of folks might be confused about the difference between bookkeeping and CPA. So help us understand the differences there.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of times many people think, oh, well, I already have a CPA. Do I really need a bookkeeper? So a bookkeeper's main role is they'll interact with that client a lot more often than a CPA because they're in their books. They're doing every single transaction that comes in or out of the business. So typically on a monthly basis, a bookkeeper will interact with the client, at least 2 or 3 times, whereas a CPA maybe just a few times a year. So do you need both? Yeah, absolutely. You have the bookkeeper who maintains what you would call maintenance. So as you do consistent maintenance on a vehicle, and then your yearly checkups are like your CPA visits. So you need both to kind of go hand in hand to kind of keep a healthy engine and machine running.
So as I understand it, bookkeepers, they're a little bit more literal, right? So you guys are actually in recording all of the transactions and doing all of that stuff on a day-to-day basis or a weekly basis, whichever, is needed. But when it comes to interpreting that information that's coming in and making decisions, how much do you guys get involved in that process?
Absolutely. So the foundation's, of course, making sure that everything's recorded. So all your expenses, all your revenues are recorded. After that portion, then you are able to analyze the data itself and be able to consult with that client and see, okay, what are your trends? What hot months do you have? What hot products do you have? Where are the differences coming in on? But we have to have that foundation in first, right, of having all the numbers in and out to be able to actually start making those predictions.
And then business owners can make better decisions.
Exactly. And that's where the results really come in.
So I think it's fair to say that there's a lot of data that can be aggregated or collected out there that is not necessarily being collected and let alone being interpreted in a way that can benefit the business owner. Would that be fair?
Exactly. Yeah.
That's a big miss.
Yeah. And yeah.
So when you and I first talked and you said, hey, you bring value, obviously your goal is to basically the value you bring is to pay for your services. So talk about that a little bit.
Exactly. So a lot of times business owners will wait till December, right? They'll always pick that shoebox out of from the bottom of the bed and start trying to do everything they can. Well, reality is there's a reason it's under the bed and tucked far, far away, right? And so rather than having that approach and just barely making it, you want to be ahead of the game in your business. You don't want to just stagnate or get comfortable in a way, right? You always want to be one step forward. And so by having someone that's constantly holding you accountable, watching your finances for you, making sure to let you know, hey, maybe today, this month's expenses were a little higher because of X, Y, Z, then they're kind of forcing you to be in that position to understand your finances on a monthly, but also make better predictions. And then by the end of the year, then you can avoid that whole shoebox situation and spending all your holidays trying to categorize receipts, for example.
So there's two things here that pop out. One is the stress associated with not knowing the information when it comes around to now I need that information, right? It's very stressful. Mm-hmm. It's a lot less stress if you know that information on a regular basis, right? You have it.
Exactly.
And then the other thing is we tend to hide from the decisions. We don't make decisions maybe that we should be making because we don't have that data.
Exactly.
So that's a kind of a 1-2 punch that we're busy out there selling, or the business owner is busy out there doing the business, and we don't necessarily want to be confronted with the numbers. Do you see that as an honest point in your business?
It's a very valid point. We always want to help the business owner to focus on their craft, right? Because a business owner, at the end of the day, they want to do what they're good at, and that's what we help them do. They don't need to be worrying about the stresses of financing, the stresses of, oh, are my reports ready for tax season? That shouldn't necessarily be the sole focus of that business owner. So by delegating those portions out, it alleviates some time for the business owner to actually be able to focus in on their actual business, whether they want to focus their time more with their team or with marketing or with their brand. Then they have that ability. So it gives them some more time and working time to be able to focus more on that and on their company.
So let's talk about the things you guys actually do. So obviously you're recording stuff, right? I mean, so posting debits and credits, right? This is a thing. But let's talk about some of the services that you guys actually do on a day-to-day basis for the companies.
Yeah. So on a day-to-day basis, we make sure that, of course, the foundation, like we talked about before, is set. So all their transactions are in, all their assets are being accounted for, liabilities, if they have any loans, making sure that all that is good. Now, on a monthly or weekly basis, what we'll do is we'll consult with the client at least once a month to make sure that they're on track with their goal. So prior to the starting of the year, we want to make sure that we set a budget for them and a prediction and a goal for the upcoming year. And as we provide them those performance reports each month, then they're able to see, okay, where are we staying in with our goals? What adjustments do we need to make? Do we need to focus on some of specific sales that we're really hitting hot on, or do we need to alleviate some of the extra expenses that we're incurring, right? So that's kind of what helps them as a business owner, but also allows us to be able to do it on a monthly as well, or bi-weekly, depending on how much interaction that specific client wants.
How often are you giving reports to the small business owner?
Reports get sent out once a month. At the end, once all accounts are reconciled and everything's checked out, those reports get sent out the first 7 days of the next month for that previous month, so that they can get a chance to review their data.
And what software are you using to do all this?
So we specialize in QuickBooks Online. It's been a very powerful software specifically for the types of businesses that we work with, and it's very user friendly, and it allows for the client to have their own portion, and it allows us as the accountant to be able to work with the data that comes through it as well.
And is it easy for the client to get reports and stuff like that, to understand those reports? Because I could picture that they would be. We haven't got any reports from you yet because we just started up, but. How easy are those reports to understand?
They're fairly easy, and the best part is our team is very communicative. So if any time you log on and you're struggling to find that, and you say, hey, customer support always takes too long, well, you call your bookkeeper or call us, and we'll walk you step by step through it. Me, myself, and the whole team, we're all certified, so we all know the program very, very well.
So what about taxes, and how do you help with what the company or the business is doing with taxes?
So with taxes, it's really important because the rules and regulations are changing every year, right? And so it's good to stay on top of those new rules and regulations and what's taxable, what's not, with rates. And so by having everything done, we're staying on top of that and knowing what's taxable and what's not. By the time it comes for tax season, then we send the reports out to the CPA. They have a look at it. They say, okay, maybe there's some adjustments that we need to do, or maybe it just looks good, and we just need to go ahead and file it right then and there.
As far as making quarterly payments and stuff like that, is that something that you guys do, or do you just let the business owner it needs to be done, or how does that work?
We actually work with the business owner, so it goes both ways. For some clients, and a lot of clients, this is the case, we actually do it for them, right? So we set them on that budget. We let them know, okay, this is what we need to make for estimated tax payments based off, your net income for that month. And then we go ahead and apply those payments for them so that they're on top of the trend. And then they're not worried about the thousands of dollars that they owe at the end of the year.
Right. That could be a little bit stressful.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right, Imad, that was a quick segment. If folks want to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
Absolutely. Best way is to give us a call, either myself or my team, for a free 30-minute consultation to be able to interact with them. The best way is 832-518-9368. Awesome. Or they can check out our website at SimpliBookkeeping.com, and that's simply with an I. Thanks, Mark.
SIMPLI.
That is correct.
And there's 2 Ks in bookkeeping. I don't know. I had
Fun
to look
fact.
that up. Thanks, Imad. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Mark.